So we are here now with Mr. May I know your name, please?
Maurice.
Okay, and where you came from?
I'm from Hawaii.
We are actually here to interview you because our audience want to know that how is the retirement life here in Bangkok, right? So the first question now, can you tell us about the first time you came to Thailand?
Sure. Well, I was working as a professor of medicine at the University of Hawaii, and during the summer months I go to Japan to teach there at Kobe University and Tokyo Bay University. And when I finished that took 3 or 4 months, I said, well, I'm already in Asia, why don't I go to Southeast Asia, which I had not yet been to. So I went first to the Philippines and stayed there about 6 weeks, and then to Vietnam another 6 weeks, and then Thailand. So that's how I got here. And once I saw Bangkok, I liked it particularly well because it had the trappings of a large modern city with rail service and museums and nice department stores and restaurants and such, and yet it still had a lot of the charm of the Thai history and the floating markets, canals, these kinds of things, street vendors. So it was old world and new world all in one place, and so I ended up just staying.
Oh yeah, wow, interesting. That's how you end up staying here, and pretty much like many people like to live here in Thailand, especially in Bangkok, I think, because there's so many things going on here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I had already retired from the university a year or 2 years earlier, but the summer gig as a visiting professor in the Japan universities, they still wanted me to come and do that, so I didn't mind. It was a free trip to travel. But I've been thinking about relocating because my wife had died, and it became difficult to stay in the same house where we had lived for 20 years and to go to the restaurants or the shopping centers and places where we had visited. I was constantly reminded of her and our time together, so I wanted a fresh start. And once I saw that I liked Bangkok, I just decided to sell my house, and I gave my 2 boats away to the yacht club, and gave my 3 cars away to deserving friends, and had an estate sale, unloaded paintings and furnishings, things like that, and then came here.
Wow, pretty much on your history. Well, and the next question, do you remember the day you decided to retire here? Yeah, I think pretty much you.
Well, yeah. I don't remember the exact day. It probably wasn't the first day that I arrived, but early on, when I first came, my plan was to just stay 30 days. I think the initial tourist visa was something like a 30-day visa, and then I decided to stay longer term, and so I went to there are many visa services that will help you get a visa, but the one that I preferred is a legal firm, and it's all lawyers. And so I wanted to do it through them, and it turned out to be a good move because it was done very quickly. I was able to get a retirement visa in 1 day. And that I know that some other services tell their customers it might take a month or more for that to happen. So once I got the retirement visa, then I didn't have to worry about leaving and then coming back and playing the 30-day in and out game that people used to play before the COVID came, and the quarantine and the various travel restrictions. But that's once I got the retirement visa, then it was easy to stay. And then of course I had a multiple entry visa, so that made it easy for me to, if I wanted to go to Vietnam or Japan or anywhere for that matter, it was easy to go and get right back in. Now I don't think with the current restrictions, it's not as easy to get back in. That to come back in, you've got to get the COVID test, you've got to show that you have medical insurance to cover COVID expenses, you've got to quarantine. Right now is not a good time to travel outside of Thailand.
Yeah, so guys, also don't forget that Mastermind also provide a retirement visa service as well. So you can contact Mastermind so they can give you the advice. And the next question that how long have you officially retired in Thailand?
Well, that was in 2012. I came in 2012, in the fall of 2012, and I had to go. Once I decided to stay here and put my house on the market, I had to return to Hawaii to finalize the sale. And then when I came back, it was by then New Year's, and it was 2013. So sometime in 2013. So that was 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty long time. Yeah. And next question. Can you speak any Thai?
Nit noi.
Nit noi. So that's it. Any other word?
Jody Gap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's some basic word that you actually require to know and to learn. It's very important. You have to actually learn a little bit Thai, to be able to live here and impress Thai people as well, right?
Right. And it's at least in Bangkok, in the central area where I live and do most of my shopping and so forth, there's almost all of the businesses are reasonably fluent in English. So if I want to go to the shopping mall, go to the department store, go to the grocery store, to the bank, maybe not every employee there speaks English, but they will find someone who does if necessary. And so I can, even since I don't know very much Thai, it's still easy to communicate and get things done. And plus I've got a lovely wife who's Thai, and so she can serve as my personal interpreter.
Yeah, right. It's better to have a partner. Thai partner is easy to live here, rather than living by yourself, right? And what you hate about the visa procedure, process?
The process of getting the visa.
Difficult to
well,
get?
it's not difficult, I think, if you use a visa service. That these services, typically their personnel are back and forth to the immigration department on a daily basis or near daily basis. So they know the procedure, they know the people whom they need to meet with, and they can get it done the right way. If you try to do it yourself, particularly in the beginning and you don't speak much Thai, it's quite an obstacle, because at the immigration department, no one, if they know how to speak English, they don't want to speak English. And
interesting.
So it can be very frustrating to do it yourself. But once a year, you have to renew in person. So once a year, the lawyer goes with me, and they go out there, and we'll have to spend 3 or 4 hours. It may only be 2 minutes with the actual immigration officer, but you got to wait your turn in the queue and so forth. And people that have tried to do it themselves, because they have to do 2 things: 1, get the retirement visa renewed, and 2, get the multiple entry visa renewed as well. So those are 2 different places. And you try to do both yourself, you may end up doing it wrong and then having to go back the next day. And it's a huge place, and there are literally hundreds and hundreds of other people there doing the same thing. And right now in the COVID situation, you don't want to be trapped in an indoor environment with several hundred other people for any longer than you have to be. So the other thing, the 90-day notice, that every 90 days you have to inform the immigration people of your address and phone number. And that's simple. They set up a website to do that, which would make it really easy, but the website doesn't work. that I've never been able to complete the process with the website, and no one I know has either. So you end up having to send your visa rep. You give him or her your passport, and they take it there and bring it back that afternoon with the paperwork for that for a small fee. And so, you know, being able to make sure it's done right, I don't mind paying the fee, whether it be the yearly renewal or the 90-day notice, just to get it done. And plus, I don't particularly want to go back to that immigration building any more frequently than I have to. Now, they have immigration offices in other locations, in Pattaya, Chiang Mai, Udon Thani, Hua Hin, and I'm sure that in those areas it's a much smaller facility and fewer people. And if you end up residing in one of those locations, you can get the same process done there that I get at the main office here in Bangkok.
So like he said, it's not easy to renew the visa by yourself, so you need to hire someone to, hire a bus.
Someone like Chalida, who speaks good English and speaks Thai, you know, she can take care of it for you.
Yeah, sure.
And she has a car on the trip when you have to go, she can take you there.
So yeah, and next question. You married with, maybe we can introduce your wife as well.
Yes, Amina.
Yeah, Amina.
My lovely wife Amina. Here, sit in the center here.
Okay.
Say hello to the, audience.
And you also, at the end of the video, say the word, what are you waiting for? yeah, we are happy that you are in the Buzz My channel. So now everybody know you.
Yeah, so what are you waiting for? You can meet lovely people like my wife or Chalida. You meet these people, and maybe you meet one that is just right for you, and you can settle down.
And what do you see what is happening in the next 5 years in your life?
Well, we are in the process of building a home. Amina has some farm property in Mukdahan, which is where the province where she is from, which is in the Isan area, far east, right at the Mekong River. The other side of the river is Laos. And so she had this property there, and there was a small structure already there, but she decided to raise that and build a new home. So we're in the process of doing that, and probably by next spring it should be finished, and then we can move there and have that as our main residence, and we'll still maintain periodic visits to Bangkok and all that it has to offer, and probably get a smaller apartment than this one, just to come have somewhere to stay. But anyway, I see us doing that. And Amina has a daughter who's now 9 years old, be 10 in 2 or 3 weeks, from her previous marriage. And so once she gets a little bit further along in school, she wants to live with us, and at that point we'll probably spend more time back in Bangkok and put her in one of the international schools here in Bangkok.
Oh, I see. So you're going like back and forth between Mukdahan and Bangkok.
Yes, well, you know, Mukdahan, they don't have their own airport yet, although that's in the drawing, and it's supposed to be, you know, done in the next 4 or 5 years. But you can fly 45-minute flight from Bangkok to where is it? Sakanakan, and then from there it's about a 1.5 hour drive. So if you try to drive from Bangkok to Mukdahan, it's 10 or 12 hours. It's a brutal drive, and it's not something that I would want to do. But you know, a 45-minute flight is a piece of cake, and so it won't be difficult to go back and forth. And at least here in Bangkok, we have a car. We've had it for 2 years, and we've got only 4,000 kilometers on it. That's about 2,500 miles. That's not very much for 2 years. You really don't need a car in Bangkok. That there's lots of taxis everywhere and tuk-tuks, and then the rail system, the SkyTrain, BTS, and the underground MRT subway. In Mukdahan, there are a few taxis, not like it is here, but there are tuk-tuks, and which are like a three-wheel motorbike thing with a seat in the back where you can seat 2 or even 3 people, and then the driver's in the front. And it's all very reasonably priced.
So, if you recommend, which city is the best to retire?
Well, I think it depends what you're looking for. If you want a beach life, then I would say maybe Jomtien, which is next door to Pattaya in the Chonburi province. There's also Phuket, which is much farther away from Bangkok. That Jomtien and Pattaya are hour and a half drive from Bangkok. So easy to do, easy to commute. But Phuket is about a 2-hour flight, and I don't know how many hours to drive, but a lot. I've got some expat friends that have settled in Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai are both in the northwest part of Thailand, and it's a mountainous area, so it's a cooler climate. It's right near the borders with northwest Laos and northeastern Myanmar or Burma, and they like that lifestyle. But of course, there's no beach there.
Depending on what you like.
Yeah, it depends what you like. If you like beaches, then you've got the Phuket, the Pattaya, Jomtien. You also got Hua Hin is a nice area, and which is a closer drive. You can drive between Bangkok and Hua Hin in about 2.5, 3 hours, something along that line. So it just depends what you want. You want small town, or maybe you want farm. You go to the provinces, Kon Kin, Udon Thani, Mukdahan, Sisaket, these places, and there's lots of rice farms and sugarcane farms there, and farm life, and even in Surin they have a lot of elephants. They got 300 or 400 elephants there. So it depends what you're looking for.
Yeah, right. And one thing, you must have Thai partner to be with you as well. So it's
you're going to want that, of course. But let me just a word about that. If you're a male and you're coming to Thailand, it's very easy to meet nice Thai females. And I don't know if you're female. I don't know if it's easy for you to meet Thai men or not, or other expat men. But as a Western man, it's very easy to meet Thai women, and that's an important first step. That I think in the dating game, the first step of meeting someone is the hardest part. That once you meet, then natural chemistry takes over, and that they will make every effort to communicate with you in your language, whether it be French or German or whatever, and you can struggle with your Thai. But once you start to see a connection developing, there are lots of language schools here, which you could go to, or you could send them to improve those skills. But it's very easy to meet Thai women, and Thai women are, I think, very beautiful, and Asian women in general are a lot easier to get along with than the modern American woman. The Me Too movement has ruined a lot of American women in the hearts of men. But it'll be easy. And there are many websites, dating websites. I won't name any of them, but maybe she will on a different program.
I think Basma already have that video talking about what the best dating website is. So that's beyond the topic of retirement visa, but he actually give the additional information about, you know,
Yes,
that how to get
well,
retirement
when
money.
people are thinking about where do they want to retire, they think about, am I going to have a good quality of life?
Yeah.
And so things that make a good quality of life, probably the most important are the people that you get to spend it with.
Right, right.
And
Thai
then
people are nice.
they're friendly. It's the land of smiles and the land of friendly people. But the other thing that is important to make a good quality of life in retirement is being able to afford it.
Yeah, right. You need to have money, like I said earlier.
Yes, but your money will go a lot further here than it will in most Western big cities. And here's an example. In Honolulu, where I'm originally from, the 15-minute taxi ride from the airport to my house cost about $75. Okay. Here in Thailand, the thing that really made me aware of the difference in the expenses was an hour and a half taxi ride from here to Bonpei to go to Koh Samet. Hour and a half taxi ride, or maybe more than 2 hours. It was about $60. $75 for 15-minute or $60 for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
No comparison.
Right, right.
And that's just one thing. The street food, you can eat and eat well on $10 a day if you don't mind street food. And what I mean by street food, the vendors are preparing it and selling it on the street. Some of them may have small tables and chairs where you can sit, or most of the time people just take away and bring it back home and then if necessary heat it back up. But you can get deliveries with Grab and Line Man and these things where motorbike men will deliver it for 35-40 baht, which is about $1, to deliver whatever it is that you want.
Right.
Now, she's always doing that with papaya salad and like that, you know.
Right, pretty convenience about everything here. Everything is cheaper compared to the Western countries. So it's good that you decide to come and retire here in Thailand. So I have to thank you for Mr. Maurice and Amina today for sitting and join us in the video, guys. So thank you.
What are you waiting for?
And back to see me in the them talking about what type of visa. Okay, see you.
Aloha.